Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Shem Shah. Double honor to the apostles of GMS. And shalom to the elect. My name is Amnawala, and to my left is
Wow.
Alright, we're coming at you once again with another lesson. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to title this. I don't know, maybe I might title it The Battle of Gaugamela, a Biblical Perspective. That sounds kind of good. I might title it probably The Battle of Gaugamela, a Biblical Perspective. That sounds alright. But I'm not sure. Maybe. You know? Sounds good, right?
Sounds good. I like that.
But can you get that? First Maccabees 1:1?
Right. This is the book of First Maccabees.
Basically, you're going to go into the history, you know, of in the book of Maccabees. I was thinking about doing the whole chapter, but then most of the chapter information was already brought out about it. A lot of it is self-explanatory. You know, like, you know what, the first 30 verses. And I said, well, the first 30 verses, a lot of that is self-explanatory. So I basically broke it down to like the first, through the spirit, how about Shem Shah, we broke it down to the first 10 verses, you know. But we're going to focus on a few verses today. So without further ado, let us begin.
Right. It's the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of Persia.
Chittim, you go into the, look it up. It's talking about Cyprus. Go ahead.
Right.
So it's talking about Alexander coming from there. Low willing you'll see in post-production. Cause I don't, you know, we outside, I don't got the connection, and I don't got that page up right now. So Low will we'll put that up in post-production, just so you can quickly see it right there. You know, probably see why he was there, you know. Go ahead.
It says, who has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes.
Right. Excuse me. Who has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. Read on.
And he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
So Alexander has smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes. Now, what battle is this talking about? Alexander and Darius III the Great had many different battles. But the last battle that they had when he ruled over his stead, and the first over Greece, was known as the Battle of Gaugamela. Now, before we get into the Battle of Gaugamela, what I want to do is, through the spirit of Shem Shah, is go into the meaning of Gaugamela, the history of that land, so you brother can get an understanding. So without further ado, this is a website called Leave Vigilant. Okay? LEVIGILANT.com. And I'm jumping right down. It says this is the part of the site. It says GAW. It says GAW Express Call CAW, comma CA and CO. That's what that part is called. But we won't read about it. It says GAW. Likewise, is a term which signifies a house, as you learn from Plutarch. The great and decisive battle between Alexander and Darius is generally said to have been fought at Arbela, because the Battle of Gaugamela is also known as the Battle of Arbela. But we are assured by this writer that it was decided at Gaugamela. He says that Gaw signified in the language of the country a house, and that the purport of the word Gaugamela was the house of a camel. So Gaw, in the language of that country of Gaugamela, meant a house. And it says the purport of the word Gaugamela was house of the camel. So Gaugamela means house of the camel, or house of a camel, or camel's house, which makes sense. Gaugamela. What is the third alphabet of the third letter of the Hebrew alphabet? Ga, which is Gamal, which means camel. Gaugamela, Gamal, it sounded like. You know, this name, it seems, was given to the town on account of a tribute exacted for the maintenance of a camel, which had saved the life of some king when he fled from battle. And the reason why the victory of Alexander was adjudged to Arbela, excuse me, arose from its being more famous than the other place. So over the course of history, the Battle of Gaugamela became known as the Battle of Arbela due to the fact that Arbela was more famous than Gaugamela. For Gaugamela was not of sufficient repute, meaning it was not a sufficient reputation. It was not as known, not as popular as Arbela. So they started to call it the Battle of Arbela instead of the Battle of Gaugamela. Just as the El Tahar brought out how the children of Israel went through the Gulf of Suez and the Gulf of Akbar. Well, Gulf of Suez and the Gulf of Akbar are not as repute as the Red Sea. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures say the Red Sea, but you get more direct into it. It's Gulf of Suez and the Gulf of Akbar. It's a place of, the Red Sea is a place of great reputation. Excuse me. Therefore, the honor of this victory was given to Arbela. Though it was according to some 500, according to others 600 stadia, from the field of battle, I have referring to the distance from the field of the battle. I have not now time, nor is it my purpose to enter into a thorough discussion of this point. Just that we're not gonna go into that either. I will only mention as my opinion that Arbel and Gaugamela were the same place. That's what this person is saying. But it says the king alluded to is said by Strabo to have been Darius, the son of Hystaspes, which I've read somewhere else and it said it was Darius as well. But it is credible that so great a place, who had horses of the famous breed of Nysa, as well as those of Persis in Arabia, the most fleet of their kind, should be so circumcised in battle and to be forced to mount a camel that could scarce move 6 miles in an hour. And this at a time when the greatest dispatch was necessary. This author gives a different reason for the place being thus denominated. He says that it was allotted for the maintenance of a camel, which used to bring the king's provision from Scythia, but was tired and fell down upon the road. I know not which of the two circumstances in this short detail is most exceptional. A king of Persia's provisions being brought to Babylon or Shushan from Scythia, or a tired camel given a pension. The truth is, the Grecians misinterpreted the name, and then forged these legendary stories to support their mistake. Had they understood the term, they would have been consistent in their history. Gaul, and as it was at times expressed, Kor, literally signifies a house, or temple, also a cave or hollow near the temple of the deity was founded. It says, for the Ammonians erected most of their sacred edifices near caverns, deep openings of the earth. Gaugamela was not the house of a camel. In other words, that's what it means, but it's trying to tell you, if you go deeper into it, it tells you that's not really why I got his name though. It says, as Plutarch and Strabo would persuade us, notwithstanding the stories alleged in support of the notion, but it was the house of the temple of Cam-El, the deity of the country. House of Gaugamela, house of the camel, Cam-El, the chief place of the deity, basically named after their god. Arbela was a place sacred to Bel, called Arbel, and it has a Baal here, of the Chaldeans. It was the same as Beth Arbel of Hosea. I'm gonna jump down a little bit more. Well, that's all I really want to read there. I don't want to get too much into that. There's more information here. I'll read a little bit more. It says, I have mentioned that Gaugamela was the temple of Cham-El, or Cham-Il. This was the title of the deity brought from Chaldea to Egypt, and from thence to Greece, Etruria, and other regions. Alright, that's what I'm gonna read there. Now, can you read that one more time? First verse again, bro?
Right.
So now we got the meaning of the name, how it goes back to Cam-El, which is the chief place of the deity, and how Gaugamela also means house of the camel, camel's house.
This is the book of 1 Maccabees 1 verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes. He reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars.
Right. That's what I wanted. That first verse, the reign over Greece. So there's a website called Ancient EU, right? Battle of Gaugamela. Definition. It says, fucking Satan, man. I wasn't coughing all fucking day, man. The Battle of Gaugamela, 1st October, or October 1st, 231 BC, also known as the Battle of Arbela. Now you know why it's also known as the Battle of Arbela, because Arbela was a place of repute. It was more famous than Gaugamela was the final meeting between Alexander the Great of Macedon and King Darius III of Persia. So that's how we know what? We know that that's the Battle of Gaugamela, because he defeated him and he reigned the first over Greece. Right. So that was that decisive battle. Yep. After this victory, Alexander was without question the king of all Asia, because he defeated the top ruler on the planet at the time. Gaugamela means the camel's house was a village on the banks of the river Bumodus. The site of the battle was thought to be Tel Gomel, Hebrew Camel's Mount, in northern Iraq. Right? See, it's a lot here I want to read, but I want to mainly get to the point. So I'm gonna read a little bit and get down to it. Following the assassination of Philip II, his father, in 336 BC, Alexander and his army left their home of Macedonia for the last time and set out on the goal of conquering all of Persia, which his father had always wanted to conquer Persia as well. That was a dream that his fathers had. And then Alexander was a child, he would always ask his father questions about Persia. So now Alexander is basically fulfilling his father's dream and set out on a goal of conquering all of Persia. After crossing the Hellespont, Alexander traveled northward where he met and defeated the Persians under the leadership of the Greek mercenary Memnon at the Battle of River Granicus. As in future meetings with Alexander, Darius and his generals continually underestimated the abilities of the young Alexander. He was considered by many, even those in Greece, to be nothing more than an upstart. He's a fucking upstart. I said, look at Alexander, this guy's an upstart. What the hell do you think he is, man? This young guy coming up thinking he's somebody.
Yeah.
That's how they looked on him. They looked down on him. He was nothing to them. Alright? So I'm gonna jump right down to the battle. Because there's other battles that led up, that eventually led into that. We'll get into that in a later lesson. Because I mentioned that he took over many strongholds, fought many battles. Many battles were fought. I mean, he fought many battles that eventually led to the Battle of Gaugamela, before the Battle of Gaugamela was even fought. I'm going to go into that when we get to the next verse. We're going to go into that. So, let me get to the Battle of Gaugamela. Bear me 1 second. Alright, this is Alexander, here, right here. It says, Alexander had planned to march straight through Babylon, but when he learned of Darius' presence at Gaugamela, he turned northward to meet the waiting Persian king. He realized a victory at Gaugamela meant all of Persia, Babylon, Persepolis, and Susa would be his. So he said, alright, if I defeat him at Gaugamela, Babylon, Persepolis, Susa, and all these different lands, they'll be mine. Darius, however, had learned his lesson at the Issus, because he battled Alexander at known as the Battle of Issus. He battled him there. Like I said, we're going to get into that when we get into the second verse. He battled him at the Battle of Issus. But he learned his lesson when he lost that battle. So it says, Darius, however, had learned his lesson at the Issus and had carefully chosen Gaugamela for his next and hopefully last battle against Alexander. He thought he was going to win. This time, his army was quite different, having brought together men from all over his empire, even Indian mercenaries. Give me the book of it's one scripture in Proverbs. It says tells you the horse is prepared. This is like the last verse of the chapter. It says the horse is prepared for the day. Yeah, 21 and 31.
Proverbs 21 and 31?
Yeah, Proverbs 21 and 31. That's a good scripture. This time his army was quite different, having brought together men from all over his empire, even Indian mercenaries. Estimates of his army varied from 50,000 to 100,000 to almost 1 million. Along with 15 elephants, although they were never used, he had 200 scythed chariots. Alright, read that.
Proverbs 21 verse 31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord.
Yeah, the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. So in other words, you may prepare your horses and your chariots, your men of war for the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord, meaning that victory is ultimately the Most High's choice. So you could train all you want for a boxing match, for a mixed martial arts match, for a basketball game, for a football game. It don't matter. The safety is of the Lord, the victory is of the Lord. You know? So it's about who the Most High wants to win. Give me Psalm 147 and 10. There's another good scripture.
Psalms.
You can hold that there. Okay? Along with 15 elephants, I read that part. It says he fashioned longer swords and lances as well as adding more cavalry. The terrain of Gaugamela was also significant. It was much wider so he could make use of his chariots and deploy his cavalry more efficiently, something that had been impossible at Issus. That's the reason why I want you to read that scripture. Because he said, I'm going to choose Gaugamela, because the terrain of Gaugamela was much wider. Since it was much wider, he could use his cavalry and make use of his chariots more effectively, which was impossible at Issus. You got something to say?
No.
Okay.
Scripture, man.
All right, go ahead.
It's Psalms 147 and 4. It's like 147, right?
147 and 10.
147.
Because when you read into it, I believe it says here on his webpage, it might not say it, probably on another page, but it mentions that Darius the Great, he had smoothed out the terrain at Gaugamela. He smoothed out the terrain to make it easier for his chariots and to make it easier for his men to be able to fight. So he made sure he prepared himself for the day of battle. I'm going to smooth out the terrain. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I got two for you.
Go ahead.
Let me read the first one you want. Psalms 147 and 10.
When you read that one, I'm going to read some more, and then you're going to read the next scripture.
Go ahead. He delighteth not in the strength of the horse.
Yeah, the Most High don't delight in the strength of the horse. See, my horse. It's a great horse, powerful horse, it's fast, it's a beautiful horse. The Most High delighteth not in the strength of the horse. The horse is known for their strength. It says strength of the horse, right?
Yep, strength of the horse.
Oh, yeah. That's why cars is measured in horsepower.
Right?
You know know what I'm saying? But
He taketh not pleasure in the legs of men.
yeah, he taking that pleasure in the legs of men. You know what I'm saying? That's just where strength comes from, your legs. When you boxing somebody, you know, you got you in your stance and you throw that hook, you gotta turn that foot. You gotta turn that foot. And when you throw that right hand, you gotta turn that foot with it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta lean into it. Throw that uppercut, you gotta dig in. You gotta come from, you know what I'm saying? That's the legs of a man. When you doing squats, come from your legs, right?
Right.
Deadlifts,
All legs.
vertical leap, all legs.
Legs.
Speed. Go ahead. That was it on that?
Yeah, that was in that.
No heat life in the legs of the men. And it shows that the strength of a horse is so significant in this world. You got bodybuilders that inject themselves with steroids from horses.
Yeah, horses.
You know what I'm saying? Read on. And you go read the next scripture. He had, see, here go right here. He had the ground level. He had the ground level. He leveled the ground out and they're gonna make it all even. Placing obstacles and traps to impede the advances of Alexander's forces. To Darius, it appeared the size of his army and the terrain gave him a significant advantage. Alexander made camp. Read your next scripture.
This is Psalms 144 and 10.
Go ahead.
It is he that giveth salvation unto kings, who delivereth David his servant from the harmful sword.
From the hurtful sword.
From hurtful
Yeah.
swords, like.
So the Most High gave salvation to kings. He didn't give the salvation to King Darius. You know what I'm saying? He gave it to Alexander because it was meant to be. Why? Because the thing of the 7th chapter. But you can hold that on deck. Alexander made camp several miles. This is that battle. But the elders brought this up before. I was talking about the battle of Gaugamela. Alexander made camp several miles from Darius. His men, estimated at 40,000, would only take their weapons to do battle, nothing else. After assembling a small scouting party, Alexander looked down from a hill, unobserved by Darius, assessing the king's preparations. So he's looking down from the hill, looking at Darius preparing. Luckily, he was unnoticed. Luckily, while on the scouting trip, he came upon an advance party sent out by Darius. While some of the party fled, several others were captured and more than willingly told of Darius' numbers and the presence of traps and obstacles on the field. So he's
Fucking rats.
fucking rats, man. You know what I'm saying? So he sent out an advance party, and what happened was some of the party fled, but some of them was captured by Alexander's men. And he said, listen, Darius got about 85,000 soldiers, 100,000. You know what I'm saying? They got obstacles, they level in the terrain. They're right down there. They're over there. They're doing this, that, and third. So they told Alexander, well, what's going to happen? That's what they.
Didn't he say that he hired mercenaries?
No, he didn't say that.
Did he say he hired, not Alexander, but Darius? He hired like mercenaries.
Did it say that here?
I believe you read that.
Nah, I'm not sure.
You read that.
Oh yeah, it says the time of his army was quite different, having brought together men all over his empire, even the Indian mercenaries.
Yeah, just like the scriptures say, man, about the hireling.
Huh?
The hireling don't give a goddamn about the sheep. So them mercenaries ain't give a goddamn about him. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, fuck that. I want to save my life. You know, so it could have been the mercenaries that it was being captured, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And selling him out.
It was fearful. That reminds me of when was it Joshua and Caleb, I believe it was, went to spy out the land.
Oh yeah.
With all the Israelites.
Right.
And they was all afraid, they was scared. You know, not Caleb and Joshua. The other Israelites was afraid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Continuing on. It says, yes, they told him of his obstacles and his traps. And it says, the night before the battle, Alexander held a council of his generals. Parmenio, the commander of Alexander's left flank, suggested that the large size of Darius' forces called for them to attack at night. However, Alexander disagreed. The historian Arrian made mention of this episode in the history of Alexander. It is said that Parmenio came to him in his tent and urged him to make a night attack on the Persians, saying that thus he would fall upon them unprepared, in a state of confusion. But the reply made to him was that it would mean to steal a victim. So Alexander said, no, I'm not going to attack him at night. That's stealing a victim. But guess what, though? The Most High made him do that. He could have attacked the night and lost the battle. You never know. Most High, Psalm 75 and 5.
This book of Psalms, chapter 75, verse 5.
Yep.
It reads, lift not up your horn on high.
Yeah, lift not up your horn on high. Horn represents power. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Speak not
Being
with
prideful, being haughty, being pompous. Go ahead.
speak not with a stiff neck.
Yeah, but a stiff neck, a stubborn neck. Like when you would have the ox, you have the ox, right? The ox would be pulling the plow. You would have the goal, the ox's goal, to poke the ox, because the ox was stiff in his neck because it didn't want to move. So you had to poke the ox to make the ox move. While the ox pulling that plow. And you wasn't supposed to look back while pulling the plow because you had to maintain it to make sure the furrows in the ground remain straight. That's why the scripture say he that pulled the plow and not looking back, ain't supposed to do that. Because the furrows in the ground supposed to be straight.
You gotta continue on that straight path.
You gotta continue on that straight path, you gotta remain focused.
Right. It says, for promotion cometh not, which the precept for promotion is exaltation.
Yeah, promotion, exaltation does not come from where?
It says, for promotion cometh not neither from the east.
Yeah, it don't come from the east. Go ahead.
Nor from the west.
Nor from the west.
Nor from the south.
Nor from the south.
But the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another.
He put down one and set up another. I mean, this person don't exalt you. That person don't exalt you. That person don't exalt you. The Most High exalt you. He put down one and set up another. And this is what's happening now during this battle, right?
Yep.
That's it on that?
Yeah, that's it.
It should be. Is that it?
Yeah, let me see. Let me read the 8th verse. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out the same. But the dregs thereof.
That was good on that. That was good. That's basically the point. Later, as Alexander addressed his men, he spoke of the forthcoming battle, reassuring that the typically superstitious Macedonians that an earlier eclipse of the moon was a sign of victory. See, moons for seasons. You know that's signs of seasons. What's that Psalms? What's that Genesis, the first chapter?
Yeah.
Genesis, the first chapter, like 14 verse. On the day of the battle, it is Alexander said to have overslept. As he had done previously. He made sure his men were well fed and well rested. Darius' men, on the other hand, signed the movie 300.
Mm-hmm.
Darius' men, on the other hand, have been awake all night, fearing an attack that never came. He up in the night, scared, all frantic, you know. As Alexander looked across the battlefield towards the Persians, Alexander called out individual soldiers by name, speaking of their bravery in other battles, and asked them to fight again for Macedonia. So he's, you know what I'm saying? Giving them pep talk, putting a hand on their shoulder, festing on. You were great. You have stood by my side for so and so and so and so and so. Fight for Macedonia. That's just what's up. You know what I'm saying? That's why they did that in the movie.
Leonidas did the same thing.
Leonidas did the same thing. Leonidas was a Jake. Leonidas was the actual man that lived.
That's right.
That battle in that movie was the Battle of Thermopylae. Back like in 491 BC, around that time period. Which was another battle of Thermopylae with Antiochus III the Great, and I believe it was against the Roman Republic. In like 170 something, if I'm not mistaken, 180 something. I haven't looked it up in a while. You know what I'm saying? You got something else? That was it?
Yeah, I had that. What you call?
What I call?
For the season of sounds.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Genesis 1 and 14. And the Most High said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons.
Yeah, let it be for signs and seasons. So they said what? The superstitious Macedonians, they said that an earlier eclipse of the moon was a sign of victory. Well, if that actually did happen, that was true.
Right.
Signs and for seasons.
Right.
Go ahead.
And for days and years.
And for days and years. Season means a set time.
Including the Sabbath.
Including the Sabbath too. For you guys out there trying to say, oh, the Sabbath is on us.
Yeah.
It's on us Saturday.
Friday, sundown.
Friday, sundown, Saturday, sundown. Well, all right, let's say the Sabbath is on the 7th day, right? It's supposed to be Saturday. I mean, the first week is Sunday, right? Well, the question I gotta ask you is this: according to the Bible, the first day there was no sun. So if the first day there was no sun, why would Sunday be the first? Why would you name the first day of the week after a sun that wasn't even there?
Exactly.
No damn sense.
It makes sense to me.
If that's the case, keep this going, man.
Another topic.
That's a whole nother topic. It says, as he spoke, an eagle, a favorite animal of Zeus, flew overhead and towards Darius. To Alexander, this was another omen of victory. As in every other battle, Alexander and his companion cavalry took position on the right flank, while Parmenio, as usual, held the left flank. Stationed in the middle, you can read that paragraph right there.
Okay. It says, as in every other battle, Alexander and his companions and his companion cavalry took possession on the right flank, while Parmenio, as usual, held the left flank. Stationed in the middle were the well-trained Macedonian phalanx with more light.
I want to read this real quick. I'm glad brother had his companion cavalry. It said cavalry with his companion.
Sorry, companion cavalry.
Yeah, companion cavalry. This is Wikipedia. The companions were the elite cavalry of the Macedonian army from the time of King Philip II of Macedon and achieved their greatest prestige under Alexander the Great, and have been regarded as the best cavalry in the ancient world and the first shock cavalry. Chose the companions, Heteroi formed the elite guard of the king. So it says Soma Tophlix, which means bodyguards, because Soma means body. We did that earlier. We said that earlier today in that show with the mark. Soma means body.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So Soma Somatophlakes means bodyguards. So those were the famous bodyguards or the elite cavalry of Alexander. So read from that point on.
It says, was stationed in the middle were well-trained Macedonians, phalanx.
Yeah, the phalanx. Now what's the phalanx? The phalanx is the phalanx formation. You wanna know what the phalanx formation is? Watch the movie 300. Now when they had these shields together real tight, that's called the phalanx. That's the phalanx formation. I'm gonna read that. We'll read a little bit about it now. Wikipedia. Phalanx. Phalanx was a rectangular mass military formation usually composed entirely of heavy infantry armed with spears, pikes, sarissas, or similar weapons. The term is particularly and originally used to describe the use of this formation in the ancient Greek warfare. All of the ancient Greek writers used it to also describe any mass infantry formation, regardless of its equipment, as Arian does Arian. Let me go to Arian real quick. Arian is a historian, or was a historian. Arian in his array against the Alans. Arian, it says Lucius Flavius Arianus, possibly Lucius Flavius Arrhenius Xenophon, was a historian, public servant, military commander, and philosopher of the Roman period. It says Arian in his array against the Alans when he refers to his legions. In Greek text, the phalanx may be deployed for battle on the march, even camped, thus describing the mass infantry or cavalry that would deploy in line during battle. They marched forward as one entity. See, so they marched forward as one entity. They had these shields up, and they all marching forward like they one entity, like they one body. You see that in 300?
Yeah.
That's a history lesson right there. They marched forward as one entity. The word phalanx is derived from the Greek phalangos, meaning finger. You know, because they all come together with their spears pointing. You know? Go ahead.
Right. It says Alexander. Well-trained Macedonian phalanx with more light infantry and archers on every side. Alexander.
So he said his companion cavalry took the right flank, while Parmenio, as usual, took the left flank with the phalanx in the center, right? Go ahead.
Alexander also did something different.
Yep.
He chose to place infantry at angles on the side of both the right flank and on the left.
See that? If you can't see it now, you'll see it in post-production. You'll see a map of how he did it. Go ahead.
It says to protect against a possible flank maneuver by the Persians. Okay.
So he said, I'm gonna put some of my flank over here to protect against Darius if Darius tries to outflank me, which outflank means to go around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It says he also placed an additional Greek infantry to the rear of the center.
Go ahead.
This is genius. This is genius, man. Because I'm looking at the map, man. I'm like, yo, this shit is fucking genius, bro. Look at this
It's bad right there.
You gotta do it. Yo, it's bad. Hey, man. It's a rough thing, man. As the battle begun, Alexander and his champions and his companions, immediately moved to the right at a oblique angle. Maybe to the side. It says, following Darius' orders, the Persians, under the leadership of Bessus, moved to their left, countering Alexander in an attempt to outflank him.
So there you go. It says, look at the word oblique. It says neither parallel nor at a right angle to a specified or implied line, slanted. So it means slanting. So Alexander, in his right flank, read it. What it said?
It says, I'm gonna read from the top. As the battle began, Alexander and his companions immediately moved to the right at the oblique angle.
So they moved to the right at a slant. Go ahead.
Following Darius' orders, the Persians, under the leadership of Bessus, moved to their left.
So they said, okay, well, he's going to the right. So it's like Alexander's here, and Darius is like coming towards him. So as Alexander's going this way, they got to go left to cut him off, to stop him from going around him, to stop him outflanking him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like boxing. You going this way and try to
Yeah,
hit the guy.
you
The guy. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta cut him off.
You gotta cut him off. Go ahead.
It says, countering Alexander in an attempt to outflank him.
Go ahead.
As the Persians moved further and further to their left.
So as they move further and further to the left to stop Alexander's flank on the right. Go ahead.
And in battery's low. And
what it said? See that's fucking Satan, man. Go ahead, brother.
Right to their left and into the terrain had not been cleared.
Yeah, had the terrain not been cleared, go ahead.
An opening or gap.
You gotta get read before that?
It says,
what?
Countering Alexander in an attempt to outflank him, as the Persians moved further and further to their left into the terrain that had not been cleared.
So remember he cleared up some of the terrain. Yeah. They moved part of the terrain that had not been cleared. Go ahead.
An opening or gap was created.
So an opening or gap was created. So Alexander's flank going this way, and then the Persian flank trying to cut them off.
Yeah.
But they trying to cut them off. It's a gap now
yeah.
in Darius' infantry. Now it's just a big space there. Go ahead.
It says, according to some historians, that this entire move by Alexander had been a feint.
Had been a feint. It's like you boxing, you feinting at your opponent.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Trying to get him to take the bait.
Okay.
Make him think you're going to attack to get him out of position.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You feint. You don't got to do all of that. You know what I mean? You feint like you about to attack your opponent, and then he move, he get out of that position, and boom, you hit him. So it's a feint. It's like, you know what? You're going to get him off balance, make him think you're going over here, and they're going to follow. And they follow, it's going to create a gap in Darius' infantry. Go ahead.
Right. Seeing the opening, I'm sorry, man. I just got to say this, man. This is just like football, man. You know, you got the A gap, you got the B gap, and the C gaps, man. You got to find which gap is open. The linebacker is not cut. You can fool the linebacker. You know what you do? Every running back, you on your plant leg. Before if they're going to the left, they're going to lean to the right. And then the linebacker will see that, and he'll come at them to the right, but then boom, he's going through the A gap on the left.
See that?
You see it?
It's like he's doing a juke.
Yeah,
like a running back.
Exactly.
And then you fall for it.
Exactly. This is fucking genius, man. It says, according to some historians, this entire move by Alexander had been a feint. Seeing the opening, Alexander formed his men into a wedge and quickly moved to his left.
So they're going right
to the clear.
So then once he saw them going this way to try to cut him off, he said, "Oh, now they're going this way." Now he said, "Boom," and he still took his men and went in there. Go ahead.
It says, and quickly moved to his left into the clear, charging the shocked Darius.
Charging the shocked Darius. So that's what he did. He tricked them, making them think that they was going right, and when they tried to cut him off, he had somebody that's been going right, and once he saw the gap, he went inside through the middle. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And he had his man on the side just in case.
Yeah, he had Parmenio who was on the if I can find it. Parmenio,
I think he was on the right side.
Was on he probably was on the left.
Yeah, it's in the first book. Yeah, Parmenio as usual on the left. Yeah, on the left flank.
Yep. Computer about to die. It's gonna die in like another 5 minutes.
Damn, man.
You know what I'm saying?
It says let's get as much as we can.
Get as much as we can.
While Alexander was challenging the Persians on the right, Darius sent his sight chariots towards the Macedonian center, a move that failed to have the effect Darius hoped. As the chariots approached,
because why would you go to the center?
Yeah.
Remember, you had the phalanx in the center. You know what I'm saying?
It said, well, as the chariot
that formation.
As the chariot approached, the phalanx merely opened ranks, allowing the chariots to pass through. The Persians were immediately set upon by the infantry. Hand-to-hand combat soon followed.
Now, let me see that real quick. I gotta get that part real quick when it said mention the phalanx. It says
what the phalanx was?
It says the phalanx was on the it said the phalanx. It says the middle or well-trained Macedonian phalanx, the more like infantry and archers on either side. So they let them pass through the phalanx because they had the infantry and the archers on the side. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. And it says Alexander also did something different. He chose to place infantry at angles on the ends of both the right and left flanks to protect against a possible flanking maneuver by the Persians. he also placed additional Greek infantry to the rear of the center. So even if they got past the phalanx, he had the archers on the sides, light infantry and archers on the sides, and they passed through the phalanx, he had the Greek infantry behind the phalanx. So you try to pass through the center, you gotta get through the phalanx. Oh no, go ahead, we're gonna let you go through.
Yeah.
You got Greek infantry behind us. So he's tricking this guy up, put him in a trick bag. And when he was at, he was
Right.
He was right over here.
The Persians were immediately set upon by the infantry,
Right.
and hand-to-hand combat soon followed.
So even if they got into the phalanx, so let's say they got in between the phalanx. When the phalanx is broken, it often turns into a mob. Like if you ever watched the movie 300, when they broke through the phalanx, it was just like a bunch of soldiers just fighting amongst one another. Like they may have set the formation. Then when the guy saw his son get killed, he broke the ranks, and it turned into like a big mob. So even if whether he got through the phalanx, it was the Greek infantry behind, you know, and it was and if they got through the phalanx, you had the archers and the infantry on the sides, or if you got through the phalanx, you had the Greek infantry in the back, or if he was in the midst of the phalanx turned to a mob and they would all start fighting. And the brother may mention that even in the movie Hercules, they had a phalanx and they had the infantry and the flanks on the side. So this is all historical military genius, you know? Right. So we're giving you information on the Battle of Gaugamela. It's really more information too, but the computer about to die in a few moments. You know, but hey, it's always another day. Yeah.
It says back on the right, Alexander, spying Darius, seized upon the opportunity and threw a spear at the shocked king, missing him by inches.
Well, Alexander was challenging the person on the right. Where was that? Where you at? Where you just read?
Back on the right.
Back on the right, Alexander, spying Darius, seized upon the opportunity and threw a spear at the shocked king, missing him by inches. Just like the movie 300. Remember when it looked like Leonidas about to buy the Xerxes, and then one of his men broke through the phalanx, and then he stepped on his back and said, and it just.
It's like my favorite scene.
It's like it really missed my inches because it feels like when I watched the movie, I was at the Birth House in Queen watching the movie on Friday, and if it would have been like 2 inches over, it would have right through his mouth into the back of his head. But it missed my inches. Now the history, I didn't go into the history of Leonidas, that battle of Thermopylae, but I don't know if that happened there. But if that didn't happen there, they probably got that from this, another Greek battle. Go ahead.
It says, just like at Issus, Darius realized that victory was hopeless and fled.
Yeah, he fled. He was scared. Coward.
Plutarch in his life of Alexander spoke of the fight of Darius.
I want to read this real quick. This is Psalms. I got it, brother. Psalms chapter 18, verse what's it? The Lord teaches my hands to war.
Oh, that's 18.
Psalms 18:34. I'm gonna work to the point. Let's start from verse 32. It says, "It is the Most High that girdeth me with strength and maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds feet and setteth me upon high places. He teaches my hands to war so that a bow of steel is broken in mine arms." Now that's talking about King David. The Most High taught King David's hands to war. But the Most High teaches you all things. If you know how to fight, the Most High made you know how to fight. Alexander was a military genius. Think it off. You like to cut off? When that's it. But when Alexander did what he did, the Most High taught him that. The Most High made him do it. The Most High was working with him. He was working him to defeat Darius the king. That way Alexander come into power, and then out of them the Romans will come into power. You know what I'm saying? And then Yahweh Shah was gonna be on the scene. It's all set up, man. It's all set up. But you know the laptop just died. You know what I'm saying? That was Satan. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know.
That's too much. When it's too much righteousness going around, too much truth coming out, man, Satan gonna do something.
Satan gonna do something, bro. So you know, with that, we're gonna close. All praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah, double honor to the Apostle GMS, and shalom to the elect.
Shalom,